And listen, we'd be remiss if we didn't start off by talking about that championship run with the Nottingham Panthers last year, watching the highlights. What did we say, Trav, on the way here? A game that was won 3 times?
Yep.
Yeah, that was an emotional one. It was to feel like you won a championship and then feel you lost it and then win it again. That was
Can you explain the situation? So for those that don't understand, championship game, overtime, what happens?
So we score on a power play, quick play to the net. Our guy goes into the crease. So a little bit of contact, but essentially the refs ruled it, reviewed it, no goal, because he went into the crease voluntarily before the contact, and then he impeded the goalie, which at the time, I was a little bit unsure. You're in the heat of the moment, but, when you have time to reflect and watch it through and through, then, probably the right call. But so then everyone celebrated like we had won it. So everyone's got to pick up all their shit again, grab their gloves, sticks, put their helmets back on, go again. And then, God, man, I can't remember how much, maybe a period later, they then score. Same kind of play. Guy goes to the net, play to the net. And just kind of as our goalie was going post to post, kind of clipped his skate. Puck goes in, so they review it. We felt it was a similar type play from the explanation we got. So they review it. Cardiff had celebrated like they had won it, gloves off, champagne moments. The league video crews are on the ice videoing everybody. They review it, call it back again. So we got to pick up our stuff again and go again. And then I think the next period, the double OT, we scored to win it.
It's one of those double-edged swords because, to use an old cliche in sports broadcasting, you couldn't write a script like that. It's a double-edged sword because it got attention around the world in the hockey world to go, you're not going to believe how this championship game went. But at the same time, a lot of people going, well, that would only happen over in England. How do you manage both sides of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some perceptions that are so false about our league. It's crazy. It's such a well-run league now. And, if you had talked to me in 2006 when I first came over, you maybe had reason to debate that. But now it's such a good league and it's well ran. I mean, these were just freak plays. And you know what? They were both the right calls. I have to say, in reflection and then talking to even people in North America, what the justification was, they were right calls. And you know what I mean? So it just happens. I mean, look at the World Series Game 7 last night. I mean, there's going to be mixed emotions. There's going to be debate on every play that happens, but, certainly not because it was in England. It was a good game of hockey. And you know what? It was surely entertaining for everyone involved.
Now, after scoring that actual one that won the game, did you kind of wait, hang on, let's not get too excited yet. This one might get turned over.
I wasn't wait, but, it was certainly a different reaction to the first one. Like I was spent emotionally. I was just spent. And, you think you win a championship, you're going to be going crazy. But I was just like, I remember just like leaning on the bench in front of me. And I was just like, wow, thank God that's over. But, it had been a long time for me personally too. As a coach, it was my first one as a coach. So just a bit of a mixed emotion, but yeah, I know it was awesome feeling.
I want to talk about that because I was, of course, very intrigued watching your career. For those that don't know, Stewie and I both from the same hometown, played a little hockey together as lads with Noral Toyota, which a picture I recently shared with you. So, kind of following you throughout your career. And one of the exciting parts for me is when you did your Reg Dunlop impression and did player coach. And that's something as a guy who coached, junior hockey, I always said one of the hardest things to do was to tell a player, this is what I want you to go out and do, and then having to sit from the bench and watch if they can execute that. But doing that on a more cellular level where you're actually able to go out and show them how it's done. I mean, was that a transition for you? Like, was it a smart one in hindsight?
In hindsight, yeah. At the time, I would have said no. But I just finished 4 years in Coventry, and we'd won it 3 out of 4 years. Like just a dynasty there in Coventry. And I kind of hit 30, and I had a bad couple of years with concussions. I think I had like 5 in 2 years. I was touching 30, and I think Newcastle had approached my my coach at the time, Paul Thompson, who's now in Cardiff, and asking if I would consider a player coaching job. It was a lower budget team that was looking for a player just to cut some salary and to come and coach. And so I looked into that. I took the job, and within 2 weeks of taking the job, their deal with the arena fell through. And so they had to play out of this. Again, got to watch what I say, but I mean, tough barn in Whitley Bay, up north outside of Newcastle. And wow, that was a year. I'm talking, like, if I wrote a book about that year and the next one, I mean, I could be a top selling author. It was like Slapshot. We had our owner left after so there, long story short, there was plans for a new arena. New owner came in, bought the team, was willing to eat, some money for a couple of years to get to the new arena. That deal fell through. And then, once he realized that wasn't going to happen, he pulled out. So we ran about 5-6 months of the season with no ownership. And my GM, Jamie Longmire, is a close friend of mine to this day. He ran the team. I mean, we were down to like 13 players at one point. We were getting thumped, and then we were turning teams over somehow. And then we got, like, other teams were doing jersey raffles for us to get us through to the end of the year. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. But the amount that I learned in that year dealing with that was a lifetime of education. It was, I mean, I was a younger guy full of piss and vinegar, as you know, and that matured me quick. And so in hindsight, it was probably the best thing for me.
I think, at least from my recollection, Theo Fleury, when he first signed with the Belfast Giants, that was the first kind of moment where a lot of North American hockey players kind of turned their heads and went and said, oh, there's actually professional hockey over in the UK. And then when you went over as well, it was that moment, I think, that a lot of players have after playing in North America for a period of time, kind of going, okay, am I going to be able to stick it out here much longer, or opportunities elsewhere? Talk about that decision that you made going from Fort Wayne, Indiana, all the way over to overseas.
This was a clip for a full-length show. If you want to watch the full episode of the clip you just saw, click right here. You get the full show, and they go up live every single Sunday. If you want more clips of what you just saw, click right here. You can see the next great hit.